And reforms, Texas Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, great to see you. Your reaction to the defiance on the part of Magnus?
No, Jackie, thanks for having me on. I think that's interesting. But you know who really needs to go is Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
Oh, well, that's a good point.
I mean, Jackie, this is somebody that testified in front of the Homeland Security Committee in the House and said that the border was secure. Then he was caught on a hot mic recently, or just thereafter, saying that the border's chaos. So which is it? And then he knew, emails show that he knew that the Haitian migrants were not being whipped by border agents on horseback. And yet he went with that false narrative anyway. And that's very telling. So on the Oversight Committee, we're probably going to have a parking space for Alejandro Mayorkas outside the Rainbow Building because he's going to be testifying so often in front of our committee until we get to the bottom of why we have such a crisis on our border.
And this is a problem that President Trump had under control. So it's by design of this administration, essentially turning a blind eye to what's happening at the border because it has no problem with what's happening there.
Well, let's look at some of the numbers. I mean, in April of this year, we had 234,000 illegal border crossings, which was the worst month we've ever had on record, only to be eclipsed by May, which was 241,000. And that was 930% worse than the last May President Trump was in office. And that April was 1,258% worse. So we've had, under Joe Biden's watch, 4.7 million illegal crossings when you count the known gotaways and the encounters. And he's saying that he's not going to change a thing. You have got to be kidding me.
And what's really interesting to me is when you've got somebody like Governor Abbott of Texas sending buses out of Texas because the state is just completely overrun, overwhelmed, spending tons of money on this. But then when those buses are sent out, 300 of them, as a matter of fact, they come to sanctuary cities and they're not welcome there, sir.
Well, then it's a humanitarian crisis.
Yeah.
If there's a few thousand in Chicago or in Washington, D.C. or New York or 50 in Martha's Vineyard, it's a crisis. And yet when we have millions crossing the border in Texas, what Joe Biden has done, Jackie, is he's made every state a border state. And now you mentioned the fentanyl crisis. Yeah. It's a catastrophe. We lost 107,000 Americans to opioid overdoses last year. 80,000 of them from fentanyl. Most of the fentanyl is produced in China. This is asymmetrical warfare. We lost 297 Americans during World War II every day. We're losing
in
293.
China, coming across the southern border. Huge problem for this country. We are out of time, sir, but we want to wish you a happy Veterans Day. We thank you so much for your service.
Thanks, Jackie. God bless.